So we are going to look at two-way and three-way Venn diagrams. We're going to cover different types of questions that could appear on the exam. We're going to start off by looking at questions like this. Well, what does this mean? And how do we shade the Venn diagram using that? We're then going to look at questions where we're given some data and we're asked to put it into a Venn diagram. We're then going to do the exact same thing, looking at three-way Venn diagrams. And finally, we're going to be looking at number sets and what they mean. And like it says here, we are going to be covering real type of exam questions throughout the video. So the way my videos work, I'm going to do the example on the left. You're then going to grab a piece of paper, press pause, and have got the example on the right and work with me. So on the left, we've been asked to shade cats. So we have a Venn diagram with cats and dogs. Now, cats is everything inside this bit. Okay, so if I was to shade that, that would be everything inside this bit. Now, cats only, the next one, is just this bit here. It's from there to there and there to there. It does not include this bit in the middle, okay? It does not include this bit, because that overlaps with dogs. So it says cats only. So it's like saying someone only has a cat. And then finally, we have not cats. Now, we know that cats is everything inside this circle. So not cats, that's what this flying comma means. It just means the word not, okay? So not cats is going to be everything outside that circle. So that is going to be everything outside of this circle. So press pause and have a go at the example on the right. So dogs here is going to be everything in there. Now dogs only is not going to include the overlap with cats. And then not dogs is going to be everything outside the green circle. Now we have cats and dogs. So now the way I like to look at this is as two separate things. So first we're going to look at cats and then we're going to look at dogs. And then the N in the middle, that just means the word and. Okay, that's what N means. So if I look at just cats at the bottom here, for example, if I have cats there and dogs there, so cats is all of this and dogs on the right is all of this. Okay, now the question says cats and dogs. So if I now compare these two, I want to look at where they both overlap. So I can see that they both overlap in this bit right here, this bit here, and this bit here overlaps in both of them. So that means my answer is going to be shading this bit in. Okay, so that's what cats and dogs is. So if I now shade that in, that's cats and dogs. Now on the right, we have a U. The U means or. Okay, so that's cats or dogs. Again, we're going to look at this as two separate pieces. So we have cats and we have dogs. So we have cats here, dogs here. Exact same thing here. We're going to shade in cats. We are going to shade in dogs. Now the difference here is it's not an and, it's an or. So when you compare these two, you're basically merging them both together to form that up there. So that means we're going to shade in all of cats and we're going to shade in all of dogs. And that's what our answer is. Okay, so that will look something like this. That's what cats or dogs is. And now we have not cats and not dogs. Again, I'm going to look at them as two separate things. So I'm going to look at not cats first and then not dogs. So if I come down here and I do not cats and then here not dogs. So not cats is everything outside the light blue circle. So that's everything outside that light blue circle. And then not dogs is everything outside of the green circle. So, and now remember, I said earlier, and. N is an and. An and basically means where do they both overlap. So in terms of where they both overlap, so if I was to compare this and this side, I can see that they both overlap in just the outside bit. Okay, so if I was to colour that in, this bit outside overlaps with this bit outside, okay? The inside bits don't overlap because on this side, the cats is coloured and on this side, the dog's coloured. So my final answer is going to be the bits that overlap because it's an and. So the bits that overlap are just this outside. And now it's important, another point I want to make here is it is important that you use the shading technique because this way you will never get anything wrong. Now what some people do here is they say that, well, earlier we did cats and dogs and we found that cats and dogs was this bit in the middle here, which is right. And then when they see not cats and not dogs, they think, oh, well, it just must be everything that's not in the middle. And they end up shading like this. And that's not right, okay? Because I've just shown you that. So let me just rub this off. So it is important that you use this method to find the regions. So on the right, we have not cats or not dogs. Again, we're going to start by looking at them both separately. So we have not cats. So that's everything outside of this blue circle. And on the right, it's everything outside of that green circle. So because it's an or, we're going to combine the two together. So effectively what we're doing is we're getting this one and we're getting this one, and we're combining the two together. And when we combine the two together, so if I take this one first, okay, let's get that in there. So that's going to be everything outside, and it's got this bit. And now if I bring this in here, the only bit different is that it's got this bit shaded, so I'm going to shade this bit as well. Okay, so that is going to shade that bit there. So that is not cats or not dogs. And now we've got not cats and dogs. This is the same as saying dogs only, and we did this earlier, and I just want to show you that with practice you pick this up. So not cats and dogs is just the same as saying the person's got dogs but he hasn't got cats, so we're not going to share that bit. And I can show you that by using what we've got down here. So we have not cats and dogs. Now dogs is this full bit here, and cats is everything outside the cat bit. And because it's an N, which means and, we're looking for bits that overlap. Now the only bits that overlap here is this bit here. Okay, this bit overlaps with this bit here. So that's what we've shaded in here. And on the right, we've got cats and not dogs. So again, that's the same as saying cats only. So it's only going to be cats. But again, I recommend that you always take this approach down here. You shade it in, and then since it's an N, you combine them together. And now we've got an or, so it's something very similar. So again, I'm going to take this approach, show the working out. So dogs are going to be all of this. Not cats is going to be everything outside of that blue circle. And now since it's an or, I'm merging them both together. So if I merge this one in there and add this one in there, so if I start off with dogs, so that means I'm going to colour all of dogs in. And now if I copy in what's left from cats, so the only bit that's left is this outside bit here. And using this approach, you can never really go wrong. And then we've got cats and not dogs. So if I colour that in there, and then not dogs is everything outside of that green circle. So that is then going to be, if I copy in not dogs, so not dogs is all of this. And if I now copy in cats, so cats, the only bit that's missing is this bit in the middle here. And that is your answer there. Now here are some practice questions for you to go at. Have a go and press play when you're ready for the answers. Here are the answers, mark your work. And now moving on. So we've been given a Venn diagram here, and we've been asked to fill in the blanks here, okay? So from looking at this Venn diagram, the first one says have cats. So how many have cats? We've got some data. So if I look at this Venn diagram, cats is this full circle here. So cats, so we know that 7 pupils have cats. And now if I look at the next one, it says cats only. So you need to be careful here. It says cats only. So it's just this bit here. It doesn't include the overlap because in the middle, these people have cats and dogs. So you want to be a bit careful there. It says cats only. So that's going to be the 2 there. The next one is dogs. So dogs is that full green circle. So that's 5 plus 3, which is 8. And then we have dogs only, which is just going to be 3. Then we have both cats and dogs. So that's this bit in the middle here. And then we have either. Now the either means they have cats or they have dogs. So if you remember from earlier, it's the same as shading in all of cats and then shading in all of dogs. So it's going to be this entire region. So that's going to be this, which is 10. And then it says have neither. So that's this number outside here. So that's saying they don't have any cats or dogs. So that's a 1 there. And then how many pupils are there in total? So you just add all the numbers together. So that's 5 plus 3, which is 8, plus 2, plus 1. So there's 11 pupils in total. And I've included these two down here because I encourage you to take that approach of if you get to some question and you're like, well, what region does all represent? So you could be like, well, this is cats or dogs, right? And you sort of forget what region that represents. Well, do cats there, dogs there, look at them both separately. Just like we covered earlier, I'm not going to do this for all examples, but again, encourage you to do this. So that's cats, that's all of dogs. And now, with an or, it means merge them together. So if I merge this and merge this, that means it's going to be all of this area and it's going to be all of this area. Okay, so that's going to be everything in that bit there except the one outside. So press pause and have a go at the example on the right. So like cycling, so that's everything inside the blue circle. That's 12. Cycling only, so that's 10. It doesn't include the bit in the middle. Hockey, like hockey, is going to be 7. Like hockey only is going to be 5. Like both, so that's the number in the middle. Like either, so that's going to be all of this bit, so that's 15 plus 2, which is 17. Like neither, so that's the number outside, so that's 3. And how many peoples are there in total? 10 plus 5 is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, so that is going to be 20 there. And now we're looking at this with what they call logical notation. So it's the exact same thing. You can think of it as very similar. So the C and D, you can almost think of them as cat and dog. So we have C at the top. So C is everything inside that circle there. So that's going to be 9 plus 4, which is 13. Now the next one says C and not D. So that's the same as saying C only. So that's this bit here. And again, if you're confused, I encourage you to take the approach I showed you earlier. So that's going to be C here, not D there. And then you can see that, well, this is going to be all of C. This bit is going to be all of not D, if you label them, right? And then if you're looking at the AND condition, it means it's just this bit here that overlaps. So, you can prove that to yourself there. The next one is D, which is 10. C, so it's D and not C, so that's just going to be this bit there, which is 1. Then it's C and D, which is this bit in the middle here. Then it's C or D, which is everything inside here. So that's 9 plus 1, which is 10 plus 4, which is 14. And then it's C and D, and then it's got the not operator at the end. So that's the same as writing not C and not D. Again, if at this point you're not sure what it is, I've done enough of these examples and I can tell you it's the 6 outside. But you can come into here, shade not C, shade not D, and then use the N to look for the overlap, and it'll tell you that the bit that overlaps is the bit outside, and outside we've got the 6. So again, press pause and I've got the example on the right. So this one I'm going to go a little bit quick. So A is going to be everything in the blue circle, that's 15. A and not B is the 10. B is 11. B and not A is 6. A and not B is the bit in the middle, which is a 5. A or B is everything in this. That's 15 plus 6, which is 21. And A or B with the not operator at the end is a 4. So here are some practice questions for you to have a go at. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play for the answers. Here are the answers. So now we're looking at filling in the Venn diagram. So we're working a little bit backwards now. So the first bit of information tells us 4 like cats. Now, I want to make a point here. And I've put this in on purpose because this bit of information here is not very useful. It's telling us 4 people like cats, which is fine. But where does that 4 sit? Does that 4 go in here? Does it go in here? We don't know. So we're going to skip this for now. We go to the next one. It says 3 like cats only. Now that's specific. So that's telling us that comes within this bit here. So we can write that in. Okay, so we've used this bit of information here. Now the next one tells us 8 like dogs. Again, it's not specific. Does that 8 go in here? Does it go in here? We don't know, so we skip that. Now the next one says 7 like dogs only. So we put the 7 there. And then it says 1 like both. So we can put the 1 there. So we've used that. And then it says 2 like neither. So the 2 can go outside. And we are done. And now you can look at this. And the question told us 8 like dogs. We've got that there. And the question told us 4 like cats. And we've got that there. So press pause and have a go at the example on the right. So it says 7 like pizza, not very useful because it's not specific, but we've been told 5 like pizza only, 1 like chips only, 2 like them both, 4 like neither. Now in the exam, you will get missing information like this. Now with this question, there's an extra step involved. So a mistake that people make is they read this question and they say to themselves, right, 8 like cats, so I'm going to put 8 there. 3 like dogs, so I'm going to put 3 there. And 5 like neither, so I'm going to put 5 there. And this is wrong. Now, this isn't all wrong. The 5 is correct, so the only one that I've put right there is 5. Now, if you add this up, 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 plus 5 is 16. Now, how many peoples does the question tell us we have? 14. So this whole thing has to add up to 14. It doesn't at the minute. So that means we have gone wrong somewhere. That's one way to check your answer, okay? So I'm just going to rub off the bit that we've put in wrong. So the 5's fine, like I said. So we know altogether there's 14 pupils because it's told us up here there's 14. So if there's a total of 14 pupils and 5 have neither cats or dogs, so that means if you take 5 off, that leaves us with 9. So that means that the bit in here should total up to 9. Okay, so what do we know about cats and dogs? Well, we've got this bit of information here. If we do the 8 plus 3, we get 11. So we've got 11 here and we've got 9 here. If we take these 2 away, so if I do 11 minus 9, that gives me 2. That's the overlap. So that's the bit in the middle. Okay, so that's that bit there. Now you've solved the question pretty much because, well, how many cats are there in the question? 8. So what must go in this bit here? 6, because 6 plus 2 gives us 8. And how many dogs are there in the question? 3. So this must have a 1 in there. And now if you do 6 plus 2, that's 8 plus 1, which is 9. And add that to 5, that gives you 14 pupils. So press pause and have a go at the question on the right. So the way I'd start this is I'd put the 2 there. Now I know there's 10 pupils, so 10 minus 2 gives me the 8. So we know there's 7 like pizza and 5 like chips, so that gives us 12. Now to find the overlap, I'm going to do 12 minus 8, that gives me 4. And now that you have the overlap, I've pretty much solved the question. So reading it, 7 like pizza, so that's going to be 3 there. 5 like chips, so that's going to be a 1 there. So with this question on the left, it's a little bit different. Again, another way that students out with this question, they think this one is more straightforward, which it is, initially looking at it. So they'd put the 2 there, because it says they like both now, okay? And we know that there's 3 like dogs, so there's a 1 there, that makes 3 dogs, and then there's a 3 there to make 5 cats, and then they just move on. Now you've forgotten one bit of information here. The question tells us there are 10 pupils. This adds up to 5. So that means there must be a 5 out here, okay? So just one to watch out for. So again, hopefully you've had a go at this one. So it's telling us 5 like neither, so the 5 goes outside. It tells us there's 20 pupils, so I'm going to do 20 minus 5, which is 15. And then these 2 add up to 22, so that tells me that the overlap is 22 minus 15, which is 8. So 8 goes in there, so that means this must have 2 to make 10 pizzas, and this must have 4 to make the chips. And now you can add all them numbers together and make sure you get 20 to make sure this answer is correct. So again, press pause and have a go at these questions. When you're ready, press play for the answers. Here are the answers, mark your work. So now moving on to 3-way Venn diagrams. We are going to start off with shading again. So we're going to start off by looking at, well, what are cats? It's everything inside this blue circle. What is not cats? So that's going to be everything outside of this light blue circle. And what's cats only? So cats only is just going to be the cats with no overlap, okay? So I'm not including this overlap here or this overlap here, because that means they have a cat and a dog. That means they have a cat and a rabbit. And this one here means they have a cat and a rabbit and a dog. All right, so hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at the example on the right. So with rabbits, that's going to be all of that. With no rabbits, that's going to be everything outside the rabbits. So everything outside the purple circle. And with rabbits only, it's going to be just the rabbits with no overlaps. So cats and dogs. So this brings us back to how we started. So we're going to look at this in 2 separate pieces. We're going to look at cats, then we're going to look at dogs, and then we're going to look for the overlap. So with cats, we have this. With the dogs, we have this. Now the and is the overlap. So really these both overlap. So if I compare this and this, they both overlap right there. Right there. Okay, which means I'm going to shade all of this in here. So if I now get my pen, this is what cats and dogs represents. Now hopefully press pause and I'll go at the one on the right. So again, you can look at it as rabbits and dogs. And if I compare the two, they both overlap in this bit right here. So that means I'm shading all of this bit. Now we have cats and dogs, but no rabbits. Okay, so we've already done cats and dogs, and we knew from the previous question that cats and dogs was within here. Now, within this overlap, the top bit is going to refer to cats and dogs, but no rabbits. So that means we're not going to colour this bottom bit in. Okay, so we're just going to colour this bit in here. And I can prove that down here, again, using these diagrams. So from the last question, I'm not going to do that bit again. So we did cats and dogs in the last one, which shaded all of this in, right? And then in this question, we have not rabbits. So if we do not rabbits in here, that's all of this. Oh, let me just rub that line off. It's kind of over going. There we go. So I'll rub that line off, bring my pen back. Okay, so now if you look at this diagram, everything outside that is shaded. Okay, so now if I was to compare this diagram to this one, and if I look at what's overlapping between the two, it's actually just this bit right here, which is just that bit there, which is exactly what I've shaded up here. Okay, so again, hopefully press pause and I'll go at the one on the right. So rabbits and dogs from the last question we know is all of that bit there. And then with not cats, so that's everything outside of the light blue circle. So that is going to be, where is the overlap? In these two, this bit here is the overlap. So if I was to compare them, we have this, and we compare that with, well, we compare it with this whole thing, but the overlap is right there. So that means we are shading just that bit in. But you can almost see that, to be honest. You've got dogs there, you've got rabbits there. It's saying dogs and rabbits, so you're looking at the intersection, but then it's saying don't include the cats, so you're just not including this bit. Okay, so that means you're just shading this bit in. And then we have cats and dogs and rabbits, so that's just this bit in the middle here. Again, you can go ahead, shade that in, and shade that in, and you'll see that the bit that overlaps is the one right in the middle. And now with the all, it's just going to be all of these. So we've got fill in the blanks again. So how many have cats? So that refers to everything in this circle. So that's going to be 5 plus 3, which is 8, plus 1, which is 9, plus the 2, which is 11. The next one says cats only. So that's just going to be this bit here. Okay, it does not include any overlaps. So that's going to be 2. The next one says have all 3. That's this bit in the middle. Have no pet, that's going to be this bit out here. Have cat and rabbit, so cat is there, rabbit is there, so the overlap is right here. Notice now, it doesn't say, now you might be confused there, you might be thinking, well, do I include the 5 and the 1, or do I just include the 5, or do I add them together? So in this case, you add them together, and that gives you 6. Now, if you are confused at this point, I always recommend, so if you were to look at cats and dogs and you were a bit confused, just draw out this diagram and you'll never be confused, because you will go in, you will shade cats, you will go in and you will shade rabbits, and now the question asks you for cats and rabbits, sorry, and that was supposed to say are, even though I've shaded it right, I've written that wrong. That wrong. Rabbit. Now if you look at the bits that overlap between, I'll just get my pen out again. So if you look at the bits that overlap between this and this, it's this whole bit here and this whole bit here. Okay, so then you'll know that the answer is this whole overlap here. So that's going to be the 5 and the 1, which is the 6. So if you go with this approach, you will almost never get anything wrong, because you know exactly what region to look at. So the next one says, has a cat and a rabbit but no dog. So a cat and a rabbit. So we just looked at this. So a cat and a rabbit is this bit here, but it's now saying no dog. So we're not going to include this. Again, you can use this shading to figure that out, and it'll tell you that it's this region here. So that's a 5 there. And it says has a cat or a rabbit. So that's going to be everything in the cat circle plus the rabbit circle. So that's the 2 plus 3, which is 5, 10, 11, and then add 10 to it. That's 21. And now press pause and I've got the example on the right. When you're ready, press play for the answers. So the first bit is asking us for the dogs. Again, this is, I should also say, it's referring to the same diagram that we've got on the left already. So with this, dogs is going to be 7 plus 4, 15. Yeah. And then we are looking at dogs only, so that is going to be 7. And then we are looking at have all 3 pets, so that's the number in the middle, so that's the 1. And then have no pet, so that's the number outside, which is the 8. And then we have dog and rabbit, so that's going to be 5, the 4 plus 1. And then we have the dog and rabbit, but no cat, so we're now not including that 1, so that's just going to be 4. And then we have dog or rabbit, so that's going to be everything in the green circle and everything inside the purple circle, so that is going to be 7 plus 3 plus 4 plus, so 4 plus 1, 8 there, 15, add 5 is 20, add 6 is going to give us 26. And then we have dog and no rabbit, so that's going to be has a dog, so it can be this as well. So you can have a cat, but it's got no rabbit, so that's these two added together. That's going to give us 10 there. Now here's some practice questions for you to have a go at. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play for the answers. Here are the answers, mark your work. And now we're looking at some exam questions. So again, you can press pause and have a go at both of them yourself if you want before I go through it. So looking at the first one, there's 31 students all together. It says 4 study all 3. So 4 study all 3 languages. 7 study French only, that's going to go there. 5 study German only, that's going to go there. Then it says 9 study Spanish and French. Now, a mistake people make here is they put the 9 there. Okay, careful here. Again, you can shade, just like I showed you earlier with shading the regions, and you'll find that the region of Spanish and French is this whole thing here. So when it says 9 study Spanish and French, that means this whole region adds up to 9, which then means this must be 5, because 5 plus 4 gives you 9. So then if you look at the next one, it says French and German. Now French and German represents this whole region here. Okay, so this whole region adds up to 7, which means this must be 3. And then finally, we have 6 study Spanish and German, which is this whole region here. So this must be 2. And then we have, well, that's all we've got so far. So each studies, oh, okay, this is key bit information. It says each studies at least one language. So each one of these, so there's nothing that's going to go outside here, okay? There's nothing outside. If there's 31 students, if I add all these numbers together, I wasn't supposed to do that. If I add all these numbers together, I get 26, okay? But the question tells me there's 31 students altogether. So that means there must be 5 in here. And then it's asking me for the probability that a random person studies French. So the probability that they study French, well, how many people are in the French circle? 5 plus 7 plus 3 plus 4. So that's this circle here. That gives me 19. And how many people are they all together? The question tells me there's 31 people altogether. So that's my answer there. I can leave it in a fraction. So on the right, we've got 50 people. Drink. People like one drink. Okay, so everyone likes one drink, at least. That's what that's supposed to say. So that means, again, nothing's going to go on the outside. So we have 19 people that like all 3. We have 1 person that likes milk only. We have 40 people that like coffee. So there's nothing we can really do with this bit of information just yet, because although it tells us 40 like coffee, we don't know what goes in there, what goes in there, or what goes in there. So we're going to skip that for now. It tells us 24 people like tea and milk. Now, tea and milk is this bit here. Now, it adds up to 24. It's already got 19 in it, so this must be 5. We've used that there as well. And then the next bit is 21 people like coffee and milk. So coffee and milk is this bit here. Now, there's 21 people that like that, so that means there must be a 2 here. We've used that as well now. And then it says 16 people like tea and coffee, but not milk. So tea, where is that overlap? So we've got tea and coffee. So the overlap is here, but it doesn't include the milk bit. So that means 16 just goes straight in there. And that's key here because it says but not milk. So it's on its own there. So we now have 5, 19, 5, 16, and 1. So altogether, that adds up to, oh, now we can use this information. I forgot about that. So there's 40 people that like coffee. So this whole circle adds up to 40. So that means this must be 3 to make up that 40. And now altogether in the question, there's 50 people. If I add all of this together, it gives me 46. So that means a 4 must be in there because we've been told all 50 people like at least one drink. So sometimes you can get these numbers, these questions as number sets. So essentially all you've got is this symbol here just means universal set. So it's referring to all the numbers that can go in the question inside the Venn diagram. Now, the way I like to do this is I try to look at set A and B first, and I'll try to look for matches. So in this case, in terms of matches, we know that 3 occurs in both of them, and 5 occurs in both A and B. So because it occurs in both of them, there must be a 3 in the middle here, and there must be a 5 in the middle here, okay? And then we're left with, well, in A, we have a 1 and a 4, so now I've done A. B doesn't have anything else, so I've done that. And now we're left with the universal set. So what have we already used? We've used 1, we've used 4, we've used 3, and we've used 5. So all the remaining numbers must sit outside. Now press pause and have a go at the one on the right. So again, the way I like to start this is by looking at each of, let me just get rid of that. So the way I like to start this is by looking at each of these 3. So I look for overlaps first, so I can see that each one of these has 5. No, it doesn't. So, well, it's not supposed to do that. So go back to that. 7, 7, 7. Is there anything else that is common in all 3? Nope. So that 7 can go straight into the middle here. And then we have 29 and 29. That is common in A and B, but it's not in C. So when we look at the overlap, A and B, this overlap here, we can see that that number does not occur in C, so we're going to put that number in there. Okay, and then we have 15 and 15. So let me just get my highlighter again. Got that 15 there, that 15 there. Now that is in B and C, so if we look at the overlap B and C, that's that bit there, but it's only in B and C, so it's going to go right there. So that is going to be 15. Okay, now if I look at A, I'm left with 1, 5, 23. If I look at B, I'm left with 11. And if I look at C, I'm left with 17, 19, 25, and 27. Okay, and then if I look at the universal set, so that's all the odd numbers less than 30. So if I was to list them out, that'll be 1, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, and 29. So I'll cross off the numbers that I've used, and then I'm left outside with 21, 29, 3, and 13. So then it says find the probability of A and B. So the probability of A and B, well, there's 2 numbers inside there, so that is going to be 2 out of a total of 14 numbers. And I forgot to do the one on the left, so the probability of A and B on the left is going to be this. Well, it's going to be 2 numbers out of a total of 8 numbers. A or B is going to be everything in here. That's 4 numbers in there, so that's going to be 4 out of 8. And not A is going to be everything outside the circle. So everything outside the circle means this, 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 and this, which also is 4 out of 8. So here are some practice questions for you to have a go at. Press pause and have a go. When you're ready, press play for the answers. Here are the answers. Mark your work. So thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.